None of us believe you, John.
I don't believe myself. Welcome, everybody, into the PHNX D-backs show. I'm your host for today, the man they call Mr. Electric, Shawn and Jesse, joined by the Thunderstick, the vice mayor, the interim mayor, I guess, because Derek is at SmackDown, the one and only Jesse Friedman.
That's true. While Derek is taking care of his wrestling duties, I do become the mayor of PHNX.
Yes.
So I feel very powerful today.
The mayor and the corporate commissioner, of course, Damon Dog behind the Mac with Jesse Jr. We didn't deserve Jesse Jr. today because the Diamondbacks kind of got their ass kicked. Just kind of. Before we get into all that, thank you for being here. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, all those good things. Of course, the New York Yankees beat the Arizona Diamondbacks 7-1 on the back of a Luke Weaver masterclass, just like everyone predicted. And of course, 3 home runs from Aaron Judge. I guess let's start with Luke Weaver.
Sure.
Because, like I said, exactly what everyone expected, Luke Weaver to come out and shove for the New York Yankees, get a standing ovation in his Yankee Stadium debut. 5 1/3, 4 hits, 0 runs, 0 earned runs, 0 walks, 3 strikeouts on 78 pitches.
I mean, that's the Luke Weaver that everyone remembers from when he was on the Diamondbacks, right, Shawn?
Yeah. It's not even the Luke Weaver that Diamondbacks fans remember from earlier this year, because we seen him earlier this year from the Reds, and he 4 innings pitched, 8 hits, 3 runs. Again for the Reds back in July. What do you make of Luke Weaver coming out and shoving against the Arizona Diamondbacks?
I remember in that Reds game that he started a couple months ago against the D-backs. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, the D-backs got to him a little bit later in that start. I think he actually looked pretty effective early on in that game, and then eventually the D-backs kind of got to him. Today, there was some hard contact early against Luke Weaver. It seemed like the D-backs were getting pretty unlucky there, maybe the first turn through the lineup, but then after that, really, I mean, after those first couple innings, it was a lot of pop-ups and, a lot of guys chasing fastballs up in the zone that they just couldn't really get to. And yeah, I mean, you look up and Luke Weaver at the end of the day, I mean, Aaron Boone still pulled him pretty early, but 5 1/3 innings, no runs. Looking at his game log for the season, Luke Weaver has appeared in 27 games this year, and he generally has only been throwing about 3 or 4 innings per appearance. But even so, only in 2 of those 27 appearances this year has Luke Weaver not allowed a run. So he had one game on May 25th, back when he was with the Reds, 6 1/3 scoreless against the St. Louis Cardinals. That's the only start this year that even remotely compares, I think, to what Luke Weaver just did to the Diamondbacks. So I mean, it's not the way you draw it up if you're the D-backs. That's to say the least.
Not at all. Obviously, he played a big role in the Diamondbacks offense being largely ineffective in this game. D-backs had just 5 hits, 4 of which were singles, and one, of course, was one.
It's been a long day, Shawn. This is the 3rd show that you've been on, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Was there a 4th?
And also, I just had to witness the Yankees dominate my favorite team in baseball.
You just witnessed an Aaron Judge curtain call, which I imagine was pretty difficult.
It was, as Damon said, it felt very much like they were cheering for him, and Aaron Judge stepped to the top of the dugout, and he took his helmet off, and he said, "Fuck you, Shawn." It felt very personal, and I hated it.
Could hear it.
It was very personal, and I hated it. I hated a lot of this game, but yeah, the offense was largely ineffective. 4 singles and 1 Christian Walker home run in garbage time. But I will say, very good to see Christian Walker hit a home run. That was much needed, even if it was in garbage time. I think hopefully kind of wakes the power back up in his bat.
He almost hit a home run earlier in the game.
The wind was going crazy.
The wind was very much blowing in from left field. At least that's what it looked like. That's what they were saying on the broadcast. So I guess Aaron Judge was smart and decided to go opposite field, and it worked pretty well.
Yeah, it worked very well, actually, because he went 4 for 4 with 3 home runs and a double, 3 runs, 6 RBI. He was pretty good tonight, Jesse.
I saw a crazy stat from ESPN Stats and Info just now. Apparently, Aaron Judge's 35 home runs are tied for the most in a season in MLB history by a player who missed 50 or more games that year. It's wild. I mean, so Aaron Judge has 35 home runs in this season, and this was his 97th, 98th game that he's played this season. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, I guess it's not that surprising. I mean, if you kind of like prorate how many home runs he hit last year to this number of games, he might even have more than 35. But yeah, it's amazing how just like effortless Aaron Judge can make look hitting a home run. I mean, it looks like he hits an opposite field pop up and it just keeps carrying and carrying and carrying.
Yeah.
And you look it up on Baseball Savant, it was actually 127 miles an hour off the bat. Not literally, but I mean,
not too far.
But yeah, not. I mean, I think there was his last one, at least off the bat, didn't look to me like it was a home run at least, and it was still 109 off the bat or something like that. So he's an incredible player, and frankly, Shawn, the Yankees have one good hitter, at least one really good hitter. Gleyber Torres is pretty decent too. But the D-backs very much let that one very good hitter beat them in this game.
Yeah, like I said, 6 RBI of the 7 runs that the Yankees scored tonight. Pfaadt had an interesting night.
Yeah,
I would say. I think by and large he pitched pretty solidly for the first few innings, with of course the exception of the home run, the first home run to Aaron Judge. Which in and of itself was made much worse by a Brandon Pfaadt mistake, right? He had the runner on first, a ball grounded. I keep saying softly. It wasn't soft necessarily, but it was. It wasn't hit hard. It was not hit hard.
Yeah,
definitely a play that I think a lot of pitchers would make. But hit him in the glove, kind of hit it to the side of the mound, went to grab it, didn't grab it cleanly, and then didn't have a play on either base when he should have had a double play. And then of course Aaron Judge steps up and does the thing, hits the first of his 3 home runs. But again, I would say by and large, he had he looked good for a lot of his outing, with again the exception of a few pitches to Aaron Judge. And I mean, by the time he got to that 5th inning, it wasn't all that great. But
yeah, in the 5th inning, I kind of looked like he was maybe running out of gas at that point. But yeah, I totally agree. I mean, the first inning was pretty clean. He did leave a sweeper over the middle that Aaron Judge also hit. That was a double, which didn't wind up costing Brandon Pfaadt anything. But the second inning of this game was maybe the best I've ever seen Brandon Pfaadt look.
Yeah.
He struck out the side in order.
Had the changeup working really well.
Yeah, he threw some good changeups in this game, which is something we haven't seen a whole lot of. Yeah, I mean, he had 4 strikeouts through 2 scoreless innings. He had 7 strikeouts after the 3rd inning. He was 1 off of his career high, which he later matched later in the game. But yeah, I mean, that defensive miscue was obviously a really big part of when this game sort of got out of hand first for the Diamondbacks in that 3rd inning. And I think that might be something for Brandon Pfaadt to work on. I wouldn't say he's looked particularly comfortable out there fielding his position. Yeah. And I think Diamondbacks fans are not used to seeing that. Like Merrill Kelly, Zach Gallen, Zach Davies, pretty much all of the D-backs starting pitchers that we've seen even in recent years, pretty much all of them field their positions pretty well. And I think that's going to be something that Brandon Pfaadt has to work on a little bit.
100%. And to be fair, he did not get a whole lot of, I mean, the pitching staff in general didn't get a whole lot of help defensively.
No.
Obviously an error from Alec, but a couple of plays that weren't scored as errors, but were really tough from our third baseman, Jace Peterson. Obviously they're late in the game. He had an opportunity to get a force out at third, but kind of inexplicably stopped running towards the base. It kind of looked like he got turned around, and like Damon made the point that it just kind of seemed like he didn't really know where he was on the field.
Yeah.
And stopped and then wasn't able to get the force out at third, which resulted in the bases being loaded. And then he had there was that really scary situation that was scored a double, but got hit to shallow left field, I guess. Him, Perdomo, and Corbin all ran in on it. Clearly some kind of miscommunication because no one fielded it, and Corbin took a really weird slide into the.
It was not
slid
natural.
Into the grass, and his knee got caught, and he did like a somersault.
What was that injury scare number? What are we at? 75 now for Corbin
honestly,
Carroll this
it
season?
was. And he, to be fair, he didn't look great when he got up. He looked like he was a little shaken up at first, but apparently, obviously, stayed in the game and seemed like he was fine. But yeah, it was not a great night from Jace Peterson. And honestly, you haven't gotten many great nights from Jace Peterson. You have here written here, right? Since joining the D-backs, batting 185, 267, 272 is his slash line.
It's not great.
And third baseman in general, 187, 276, 271 with a 547 OPS.
That's since the All-Star break.
Since the All-Star break, yeah.
Or actually, you know what? I wrote All-Star break. That's since July 1st.
July 1st, okay.
Sometimes I just write blasphemy on the show.
What was that slugging percentage again?
271.
Yeah.
That's
It's a 547
Diamondbacks.
OPS.
Yuck.
That's all Diamondbacks third baseman. And the numbers you said about Jace Peterson almost match that exactly.
Yeah.
Like D-backs third baseman since July 1st, 187, 276, 271. Peterson, 185, 267, 272.
Yeah, almost
Jace
exactly.
Peterson's basically been the exact same as Evan Longoria and, and Emmanuel Rivera and Geraldo Perdomo when the D-backs have played him over there. And Perdomo has scuffled quite a bit lately as well. Yeah. The D-backs have really just not gotten much of any offense from the left side of the infield in several months. And that's, somehow they're staying afloat. Yeah. Somehow they're finding ways to win, and they've had some other hot hitters. But, that's obviously something to be addressed in the offseason.
Yeah. Cog saying he thinks I could play a good third base. I'm down. Sign me up.
I believe it.
Yeah. I mean,
Could you be worse than Jace Peterson?
I mean,
it's pretty hard.
I just wouldn't swing the bat, and hopefully get hit a couple times. I won't move. I'll tell you that. I'll take a pitch. I'll take 95 to the fucking ribs if I have to. Anything for a ring. I'm a grinder. But at least saying what I really wanted to get. The third, like these stats show, the third base is really just, it is a black hole for the D-backs, and we talk about it, is clearly something they're going to need to address in the offseason if they want to take another step in some way. And the natural question, right, is Benjamin asking it, what's Josh Rojas' slash line since leaving the D-backs? Well, Jesse's here, so of course we have that for you. 262, 315, 379 since joining the Mariners.
It's not good, right?
But
263, 315, 379 for a third baseman, that's not really what you're looking for. Rojas' numbers had been, I think, quite a bit better as of maybe a week or two ago. He's kind of scuffled a little bit lately. But even so, 262, 315, 379, that's considerably better, unfortunately, than, what the Diamondbacks have gotten from other guys at that position. You can critique the Diamondbacks bringing in Jace Peterson, and I think there's some validity to that. He obviously hasn't helped the issue, but he hasn't really hurt it in a sense either.
Yeah, he's not much worse than anybody else.
No one else. Everyone at third base right now for the D-backs, it's just Evan Longoria is an elite base runner, as we saw the other day, and outside of that, you're just not getting a whole lot from that position right now.
Yeah, and to be fair, it's not like Rojas was providing a lot from that position either.
No, before he was traded, you could make it. Yeah, he would have been right in this rut with everyone else, if not even a little bit worse.
So it's unfortunate for sure. With all of these bad performances, it must leave you wondering, who's our king snake today? Well, it's no one that played, I'll tell you that. It's RJ, because we'll always have 2001. Suck it, New York. I hate you forever. Today sucked. It really did suck. But again, we'll always have 2001. You can beat us in the regular season as much as you want. You'll never have that ring back.
Who, if you were to give a legit king snake for this game, who? Christian Walker,
because he hit a home run. I know Perdomo started off 2 for 2. I'm not exactly sure how
he was 2 for 2.
He was 2 for 2, yeah. So
or 2 for 3.
2 for 3, okay. So yeah.
Joe Mantiply came in and threw an inning and didn't give up a run. It was a rough game.
It was a really rough game, and that's why we gave it to
Diamondbacks.
Randy Johnson, because we're not going to give it to Cogs again. That's for sure.
No, that's clearly not an option at this point.
And no one on the team deserved it, at least today. So, RJ, congrats on your first king snake.
This has been kind of a thing for the Diamondbacks where, they string together some nice wins, and then they just look flat. Kind of all of a sudden, right? It happened in that Mets series where they were able to get game 1, and then they just did not. They were just completely flat the next 3 days. And often it results in games like this where the D-backs just get kind of blown out, right? 7-0. I think there was an 11-1 against the Mets a week or so ago. I think there was a 7-1 in there as well. these games are honestly like fairly common for a Diamondbacks team that is still in very good position to make the postseason. It's kind of a bizarre phenomenon, and especially in New York. New York is just not apparently where this team really has any degree of success whatsoever.
I hate New York, New York. That song, I hate it. Their victory song. It's the worst song of all time. But
I'm shocked that you would think that. That's really surprising to me.
I know. But of course, this has great implications for the wild card race, which we'll get into in a moment. But first, I want to thank you all for joining us today. Of course, if you haven't already, you're here on our YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, give us a like, all those good things. And if you're listening on audio, do the same. Give us a 5-star review. Make sure you subscribe so you're not missing an episode. Today was pretty tough. Oh, we got a super chat. Shout out Piece of Yoshi. $5 super chat from Piece of Yoshi. King Snake goes to the Yankees heckler in my section. Kept me sane. I went to Yankee Stadium last summer, last July, for a Red Sox Yankees game. And the game started off with like a Red Sox home run, and I was talking my shit. And then they lost 8-1.
Yeah, I think I've heard this story.
So I think Matt Carpenter had 3 home runs or something like that. Maybe at least 2.
As Matt Carpenter does.
Yeah.
You know, the D-backs haven't been able to get him out this year. That's for sure.
So heckling at Yankee Stadium, you just got to be careful because it can always come back to bite you. This game was especially frustrating because there were 2 incredibly obvious bets to make in my mind. It was Aaron Judge taking Brandon Pfaadt deep, and it was Christian Walker going yard in the Little League stadium that is Yankee Stadium. Granted, it wasn't to the short porch, but still. And of course, both of those things happened. But what did I do? Nothing. I didn't bet on it.
It was a big mistake.
Big mistake. And you never want to be the person that didn't place the bet. Always place the bet. And if you're going to place the bet, you got to place it on BetMGM because they are one of the best places to. I mean, they're always giving out free bets, promos, profit boost, all of these things, because the people at BetMGM are just so damn generous. So make sure you use that code PHNX and sign up. You can sign up for BetMGM and use bonus code PHNX. Place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through BetMGM Sportsbook mobile app of at least $10, and you will receive $200 instantly in additional winnings, regardless of your wager's outcome. By the way, tomorrow is Aaron Judge bobblehead night at Yankee Stadium, apparently. So bet on an Aaron Judge home run. And if you don't tell, like, I won't feel bad for you because I warned you. Bet on it now and bet it on the BetMGM Sportsbook app.
And if the game is postponed,
bet on it Sunday.
Then yeah, I guess there you go.
Yeah, what would they do for the bobbleheads? It'd be real tough for the bobbleheads.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, is there a bigger day on the Yankees schedule, like in terms of promotions, than an Aaron Judge bobblehead day? I don't know.
Probably not. We'll see. Hopefully it doesn't get rained out. But yeah, make sure you place those bets. Check out the full show notes for details. And now, listen to Shano talk about the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., New York, or Ontario.
We got another super chat. Be calm, see clearly. $2. I miss Robbie Ray. Starters have to pitch better. I mean, yeah, starters certainly do need to pitch better if this team is gonna, even make the playoffs at this point, right? That's still by no means a foregone conclusion.
I miss Robbie Ray. That's interesting. Like, Robbie Ray hasn't been a Diamondback for like kind of a long time, and he wasn't particularly good in his later years.
I kind of skipped over that part, I guess. But yeah, that was kind of a random shout out, Robbie Ray. But hey, everyone's got those players. Shout out Tim Castro.
There you go.
Central New York native. But of course, like I said, we're gonna get into the kind of the wild card picture in a second. But at this point, you need to be watching every game because every game matters. We talk about it every day. The wild card picture looks so different.
Every day is Earth Day.
Every day is Earth Day.
That's where I thought we were going as well.
Every day is Earth Day.
You can't say every day on this show without all of our minds immediately going
to the mailbag. On Mondays, we go to the mailbag. Damon, let's go. Anyways, no, you got to watch every day. Every day matters. Every game is important. So you got to watch every game. And if you're going to watch every game, you got to do it with their friends over at Fubo because it's the best place to watch sports. They've got everything. Obviously, again, they've got Diamondbacks baseball. They've got college football, NFL. They got Red Zone. So this Sunday, I've been talking about it all day. I cannot wait. I'm going to wake up at 10 a.m. The Bills are going to be on Fubo, of course. And then at 10:35, barring some kind of rescheduling, with a potential rainout tomorrow, the Diamondbacks first pitch against the Yankees, also on Fubo. Double screen setup. I'm ready. Cannot wait. So make sure you sign up for Fubo right now. You can watch all your favorite college football, MLB, NFL, all of it with Fubo. So go to www.FuboTV.com/PHNX to sign up for 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro. All right. Like I said, every day matters, and every day is Earth Day, and every day the
Every
wild
month
card
is Black History Month.
Every month is Black
Now we have to
History
do the whole thing.
Every week is Shark Week, all of that. But no, every day things change. And obviously with a loss today, not helping the D-backs. But there's a lot of other things going on. So let's check out the out-of-town scoreboard. I mean, I guess depending on what you think about what team you want to play in the postseason, you can look at the Chicago Cubs result one of two ways. But obviously the Cubs beating the Colorado Rockies 6-0. The Brewers handling the Miami Marlins 16-1. I believe are all of these games still in progress, Damon?
First two are done.
They are done. Okay.
The
last three are in
Mets
progress.
Phillies is in the 10th. Pirates Reds is in the 9th, and Royals and Astros is like in the middle of the game.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. So so the Cubs have beaten the Rockies 6-0. The Brewers have beaten the Marlins 16-1. Yeah, the Mets and Phillies are in extras right now. Which, as we were talking about, catching the Phillies is probably not really that realistic, but
yeah,
if you want to keep the dream alive, a Mets win here would obviously go a long way.
I mean, the D-backs were 3 out from the Phillies, right? Coming in.
Yeah, I believe so.
So, I mean,
3.5.
3.5. So, and the Phillies have the tiebreaker. So, entering today, the D-backs, like if the D-backs win out, they still might not catch the Phillies, depending on how the Phillies play. So, I don't think fans should be too stressed out now about the Phillies. I think that ship is kind of sailed at this point.
But the Pittsburgh Pirates getting the job done against divisional opponent Cincinnati Reds. They're beating them 7-5 right now. And then, middle of the game, but the Astros are struggling against the Kansas City Royals, as everyone predicted. 7-2, which of course, and the I checked earlier, the Mariners and the Rangers were both tied a half game back from the Rangers. From the Astros. So it's feeling like that last series against the Astros is probably going to be really important for both teams.
Yeah, that's if you're wondering why we have Royals Astros just like randomly on our out of town scoreboard now. It's because how the Astros perform in this next week leading up to next weekend series between the D-backs and the Astros is really important. If the Astros take care of business against the Royals, as one would sort of expect them to do, and then I'm not sure who they play after that, but they have another series against, the Astros are a very good team. They can beat anyone. There's a world in which the Astros play well enough leading up to that series next weekend where they're not really playing for anything against the Diamondbacks in that final series to finish off the year. But Shawn, as you just alluded to, that race is very close right now. And it sounds like at the end of the day, the Astros will no longer be in first place in the AL West.
Yeah.
And that very much means, it looks likely that the Astros are still going to be playing for something, at least in the first part of that series next weekend. So that's definitely something to be watching.
This Pirates-Reds game is not going great for us right now. It's 7-5, bottom 9, Bednar's in, and it's 2 on, nobody out so far for the Reds here.
Oh, boy. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Bednar was a little shaky against the Cubs the other night, too. Yeah. He hasn't been quite as sharp.
It's good to see Wald. For those that are interested, because obviously there's a couple of our guys over there, the Rangers are currently beating the Mariners 8-4. So the Rangers will more than likely end up with the AL West lead when everything is said and done tonight.
That's so crazy.
I know.
That AL West race is insane. The Rangers, it just looked like the sky was falling
I know,
for the
right?
Rangers like
We were
a
talking
week
about them
ago.
not making the playoffs.
Yeah, they dropped out of the playoff picture entirely. And I mean, with how well the Blue Jays are playing right now, I don't know what they've done today, but there's a decent chance like the Mariners, the Astros, the Rangers, one of those three teams is probably not going to make the postseason, which is crazy.
The Blue Jays beat the Rays 6-2, so interesting for the AL East.
That'd be tough. Like if you're a Mariners fan or a Rangers fan or an Astros fan, I mean, it's going to be pretty tough because all three of those teams are, on paper, I mean, they're teams that should be in the postseason. If they were in the National League, there wouldn't be a question, right? It's a little bit lopsided right now, one league to another, and it looks like we have a Christian Encarnacion Strand double play. So there are now 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth with the Pirates still having that 2-run lead.
Let's fucking go Pirates, baby.
We're going to get for those that are interested with the AL standings as it stands right now with those two, with the Astros and the Mariners. Rangers game still active. The Blue Jays have a 1-game lead. They're in the second wild card spot, 1 game ahead of a tie between the Mariners and Rangers. So the Rangers will win. They'll move into the AL West lead, and there will again be a tie between the Astros and Mariners for that 3rd wild card spot. I'm not sure who has the head-to-head, obviously. So I don't know, but we're obviously much more concerned about the NL wild card race. So let's take a look at those. It is what it's been, right? It's close. Shout out Torey Lovello, because he said it a long time ago that this is going to come down to the last day of the season, and it's hard to believe that this is not going to come down to the last day of the season. Because I mean, you can see it here. Obviously the Phillies have a 4.5 game lead in that first wild card spot. Diamondbacks a 1-game cushion. Cubs in that last wild card spot at 80 and 74, and then the Mariners, who just got handled again by the Brewers, a game out, 79 and 75, and the Reds, who are currently playing, also a game out, 79 and 75. So it's tight.
It's
I mean, close.
If the Pirates are able to finish the job here against the Reds, then if you're the D-backs, this isn't a terrible day, honestly.
No.
In terms of like your odds of making the postseason, I don't think are even going to change that much at all. The Cubs were already in the 3rd spot, and the Cubs do gain a game on the Diamondbacks today. They're only 1 game behind the Diamondbacks, but I don't even think Diamondbacks fans care much at this point, whether there in the 2nd spot or the 3rd spot. I mean, people probably have their different opinions on Phillies versus Brewers.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everyone who we were kind of talking about earlier, anyone who was saying that they would rather play the Brewers today did nothing to help that.
Yeah, they might have some second
They put up 12 runs in 1 inning against another team that is competing for the playoffs. So it's Major League Baseball playoffs, right? You're not gonna have an easy time regardless of who you end up playing.
Yeah.
So is Fangraphs like up to the 2nd?
It's not up to the 2nd. It's fairly quick though. I mean, maybe like 5 to 10. We might have updated playoff odds.
81.2%.
Okay.
I don't know if that's new.
I think it is new.
I think it was
something,
right? 82 point something.
Yeah, it was maybe 85. I want to say. Although I guess I didn't check this morning after yesterday's games because the D-backs had yesterday off. So all this to say, the D-backs chance of making the postseason did not really change. Their chance of getting the 2nd wild card spot changed because the Cubs gained a game on them and are obviously closer. But even then, I mean, the Cubs have to not only match the Diamondbacks, the Cubs have to pass the Diamondbacks because they don't have that tiebreaker.
Yeah. So, and I mean, they're a game back from the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
Right?
So they're still 2 games away from actually flipping that spot in their favor. So all in all, this really could have been a lot worse for the Diamondbacks. This isn't, the sky is falling. The D-backs aren't making the playoffs anymore or anything. Obviously, every game matters a lot right now. What do we have a result here, Damon?
Pirates W.
Okay, the Pirates
and the Phillies won according to Piece of Yoshi. So yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about that earlier, right? That wild card spot was never going to be all that attainable, but a win for the Phillies obviously makes that much more difficult. And I feel like we got to mention in the wild card that technically speaking, the Giants and the San Diego Padres are still very much alive. Padres, I believe, 3 games back, and the Giants, or the Padres 4 games back, and the Giants 3, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say the Padres are very much alive.
4.5 and 3.
But it's like
I mean, they're
the heart
alive.
is still
There's
beating.
a pulse.
There is a pulse.
They're very much alive if you look at like MajorLeagueBaseball.com's homepage, because everyone wants this team to make the playoffs, it appears. But yeah, they're more alive than I thought they were. I'll say that. All of a sudden, they just snuck their way back into this picture.
As crazy as it sounds, I think that I think that's the worst case scenario for the Brewers. Like if the Padres sneak in and get that 3rd spot because they won like 18 of their last 20 games of the season or whatever they'd have to do to get that
on fire. They're all of a sudden like a World Series favorite.
That team like totally
right, because like the pitching isn't really the problem. There is the lineup was not always really.
The pitching is kind of still the problem.
I mean, I guess it is, but in terms of like
in a series,
like you go to the wild card.
Yeah,
I feel good about the Padres, like especially if they're on fire, but. Again, they're 4.5 games out as we talk right now. So
I'd be
probably
sick
not
if I was a Brewers fan and that shit happened.
I would be sick because I still have a parlay out on Dracus Duplessis and the Padres to win the NL West, which I made on accident. And so I'd be really upset if they ended up somehow making the playoffs. So you couldn't have figured this out a little earlier, but whatever.
Well, I picked the Padres to win the NL West when the season started.
I don't think you were alone.
I still feel like an idiot for that. But yeah, I wasn't.
Think you were alone.
I think in our we write this All-City staff article at the beginning of every season, and we all make all the beat writers in All-City, we make our predictions, and I think only one of the 4 of us had the Dodgers winning the NL West. 3 of the 4. We fell for the Padres hype. We fell for this roster that on paper looks pretty darn good. And I still don't understand why the Padres aren't good. Because their run differential is super good, and Ha-Sung Kim is having like a 6 WAR season.
They're gonna be
crazy.
Everyone is they're gonna end up like missing out on the playoffs by like a game or something like that. And then we're gonna get to next season. And everyone is going to be like, we saw what they were at the end of the year. They're going to win the division. And we're going to be right back where we were. But we'll see.
The Dodgers winning by 10 plus games? Is that right back where we were?
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, the D-backs will be better next year, I think. But at least as far as the Padres are concerned, we'll be right back where we were. We also had some roster moves today. The most notable of which, congrats on the baby, Miguel Castro. Ended up on the paternity list and back in the DR. And they called up Slade Ciccone. Slade?
Yeah, there's been some controversy over how that name is said. We still think that like authentically it should be Ciccone.
Ciccone.
Yeah, like that exactly.
We can just do that because the Coyotes have a guy from Finland, Mattias Maccelli, and every time that we say his name, we say Maccelli. So we could just Ciccone.
I did not know he was Finnish. But
yeah,
that
he's
makes
not
it
Italian.
Way funnier.
He's Mattias Maccelli from Finland, and he has the most Italian name of all time.
That is very funny.
But yeah, we had Miguel Castro get put on the paternity list. Slade Ciccone got brought up.
That's the only roster move.
Yeah,
we have some other news. We have Zach Davies scheduled to start tomorrow's game, Saturday's game, if it happens. Again, tropical storms seem to follow the Diamondbacks wherever they go. We saw this in San Diego a few weeks ago. But yeah, so it's Zach Davies on Saturday, and then it's back to Zach Gallen on Sunday. So the Diamondbacks are skipping Ryan Nelson's spot, and they are, I believe Torey Lovello said before tonight's game that Ryan Nelson will now be used out of the bullpen. So the D-backs have tons of length in their bullpen right now. They have Ciccone, however we're saying that. They have him. They have Bryce Jarvis there, and then they also have Ryan Nelson. All of those guys can give you multiple innings. So I guess that's sort of protection for like games like this, where you just don't want to really use your high leverage relievers to get through a game like this. The D-backs use Ciccone a little bit in this one, and I suspect that Nelson or Jarvis are probably not going to be like high leverage relievers. They're going to be used in situations where you just kind of need some coverage. Yeah. So, it makes sense to get Ciccone back up here. And, I'm sure Miguel Castro will be back within a couple days, and we'll figure out what the D-backs do then.
Yeah. as I said to you during the game, though, watch out for the rain out tomorrow, because if it happens, we'll have to play a doubleheader on Sunday, and that would more than likely mean that Zach Gallen does not have to pitch at 10:35 in the morning, our time, which obviously is something he's kind of struggled with at points this year. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm kind of rooting.
You're rooting for a doubleheader.
I kind of am, because I won't be able to watch the game tomorrow, if I'm being honest, because ASU plays tomorrow night. So I kind of wanted to get it. I kind of want to get it out, and I also don't want to see Zach Gallen have to pitch in the morning if we can help it.
That also, the flip side of that, though, is you probably only get Gabby Moreno in one of those two games.
True.
The D-backs have been willing to start Gabby Moreno like day game after night game, but I don't think there's any manager in the league that's going to make their catcher do double duty. Yeah, that would be pretty ridiculous.
That would be tough. So maybe not. We'll see. There's a silver lining regardless of what happens. Let's put it like that. Also, I saw something going on in the chat. Did I see that Cog said he was going to shave his head if the Padres make the playoffs?
Yeah, if the Padres make the playoffs, it's been confirmed. I strong-armed him into doing it.
So we are all Padres fans now.
Yeah, I mean, he said he won't let Derek one-up him, which I respect.
I respect that, too. Hey, I've dyed my hair before. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do for content.
But he's shaving his head. He's not dyeing his head.
Yeah, he'll shave his head.
Wow.
But by Cogs also, you don't have to do that. Don't let him bully you.
I don't think Derek would ever go to those lengths. Like,
No.
Cogs is very much one-upping, possibly even two-upping Derek in this situation. I don't know what the difference
between
between
that
one-upping
bridge
and
when the
two-upping
Padres do or do not make the playoffs, I guess.
Which means we won't cross the bridge.
Yeah, we will not cross that bridge. Again, we mentioned it earlier. Astros coming to town next weekend for a huge series. So make sure you get out there. I know the Friday game, I believe, is the yard sale that they do at Diamondbacks games. We're up in right, or the La Terraza deck up in right field. They just sell a bunch of random merchandise that they have lying around. I know that one of the things they're selling is Archie Bradley fake beard giveaway that they had at one point. So
it's a big one.
Random stuff they can buy at good prices. So make sure you get out there. And if you're going to get there, you need tickets. And if you're going to get tickets, you got to get them on the best ticketing app known to man, our friends, our family over at Game Time. I know we have what?
Our family.
That's a Totri thing.
On some Fast and Furious shit.
Family. Shout out Brian Kelly. But yeah, no, Totri said they're family. They are family. They treat us right. They could treat you right too. Like I said, I think we have some plans to maybe attend the game next Friday. Some people were discussing it. Again, if we do, tickets on Game Time, obviously. You can snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Also, by the way, I forgot to mention these, Damon. Travis Scott tickets, $32 on Game Time.
No way.
$32.
I don't believe you.
Game Time.
The folks at Game Time with a $20 off. Now we're talking. Go see Travis Scott with the boys. Concerts, comedy, sports, whatever you want. Game Time. Got it. Snag the tickets without the stress on Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Derek also is a big sunglasses guy. So if you really want to one up Derek Cogs, actually, I was gonna try to bully you into buying sunglasses. I don't want to do that. I just think Cogs does enough for us.
Yeah, you don't have to do that. You don't have to. But I'm gonna strongly encourage everyone watching or listening to the show to go get themselves a nice pair of sunglasses. Because it's Arizona, sun's bright. Even though the weather's getting cooler, the sun's still out. You gotta listen. The sun is evil here. It just shines brighter here than other places in the country. I don't fully understand how that works. I might be making it up in my head, but regardless, the effect is real. You need good sunglasses in Arizona, and the best sunglasses are our friends over at Shady Rays. And they have a hell of a deal for you right now. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code PHNX for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. You can try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. And if you don't like shopping online, go to the brick and mortar location at Kierland Commons in Scottsdale. They got it all. They also have a great return policy. Buy it, don't like it, need to exchange it. 30 days, do it for free. And if you get a pair, you break them, you lose them, they get stolen, you throw them into the lake. I don't know, whatever you do with them. call up Shady Rays. They'll give you a new pair. No questions asked. They really are family, just like Game Time.
There you go.
Family. And you can be family too by becoming a diehard. Become a diehard. You get a free shirt or hat from the PHNX locker. You get access to some of our exclusive content. Obviously, we got a lot of great content from our writers like Jesse, Gerald, Craig. We've got a handful of new college writers in the fold. Ralph, Talon on our ASU beat. Anthony down in U of A. So we've got hella writers, hella great content, and the best content reserved just for our diehards. So make sure you become a diehard. Exclusive access to our Discord, where we just chat about games and stuff like that. And sometimes we do some exclusive Discord content. You get access to special events and discounts on our events, a variety of offers from our sponsors, stuff like that. So it's a great time to become a diehard, especially, running into the playoffs with the Diamondbacks, getting ready to start up our season. Obviously, football's underway, getting ready to start up hockey and basketball. So it really is the perfect time to become a diehard. So make sure you head over to our to gophnx.com and sign up. All right, Jesse. We were talking about this a little bit yesterday, kind of just you and I, kind of predicting who we thought might end up on the Diamondbacks Fall League roster. But this morning, we got an answer, and you wrote about it over at GoPHNX. Speaking of some of the great content we have over there, what do you think of what we got so far?
Yeah, so the D-backs have 8 representatives. I'll just start by listing them off. Ivan Melendez is probably the headliner, a guy that we suspected would sort of make a lot of sense for this opportunity. AJ Vukovic is also there, outfielder, third baseman from AA. Blake Walston is in there, AAA lefty. First-round pick back in 2019 for the D-backs. Christian Montes de Oca, who's a reliever, right-handed reliever. Man. Austin Pope as well, another right-handed reliever. Jake Rice, a lefty reliever. Caleb Roberts, a catcher who's put up some pretty good numbers this year in AA. And then Carlos Meza, hoping I'm saying that right. He is a left-handed reliever down in the D-backs farm system. So, yeah, the headliner names here are the first 3 that I mentioned: Ivan Melendez, AJ Vukovic, and Blake Walston. These are guys you've probably seen on top prospect lists. They show up somewhere in the top 10, top 15, typically, depending on which list you're looking at. Ivan Melendez was an interesting question for me because he has been on the injured list for the last couple weeks, and he was activated today. So, still am not sure what that injury was for Ivan Melendez, but it appears he is healthy and he is ready to go for the Fall League. We've talked about Melendez on the show a decent amount, right? I think people have probably heard the name at this point.
For sure.
Big power numbers this year: 272, 345, 578. That was a slash line.
From the University of Texas at Austin, by the way.
There you go. That was 426 plate appearances split between Hillsborough and Amarillo this year. He had 30 home runs, 76 RBI, 22 doubles, 2 triples. The big thing for Melendez, as we've talked about before, is the swing and miss, is trying to eliminate strikeouts. And the numbers are frankly a little alarming. 33.6% in high A, 35.3 in double A. Honestly, it's incredible that he's put up the numbers that he has with those strikeout rates. League average is generally around 21, 22, low 20s. So if you're in the mid 30s, that's about as high of a number as we ever see for anyone. So yeah, I mean, it's a credit to Melendez that he's put up the crazy numbers that he has in spite of how much swing and miss has been there. But I mean, that's the thing to watch in the Fall League for me is, how much is Ivan Melendez swinging and missing? How are the swing decisions? Is he swinging and missing only at pitches outside the zone, or is there also some in zone swing and miss, which I suspect there probably is for him. Those are going to be the big things to watch. But the raw power is off the charts. I wrote in my story about how, I mean, if anyone is like built for the home run derby, the Fall League has a home run derby. Like Ivan Melendez has to be in the Fall League home run derby. It would not feel right if he wasn't. So
you got to worry about swings and misses. At least you shouldn't.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully in the home run
Unless
derby.
Unless you're Pete Alonso, right? Wasn't he the one that was getting screwed over by his pitcher at?
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
It was one of the most absurd things, getting sliders in the home run derby. It was absurd. And I mean, yeah, you mentioned it, like kind of seeing Ivan Melendez, how he deals, because one of the things that we talked about yesterday, at least as far as like position players, offensive players are concerned, is that like part of the reason you send guys to the Fall League is to kind of to get a better look at them, to challenge them a little bit. And I feel like, especially with a guy like Ivan Melendez, you need to challenge him, because those strikeout numbers, it's hard to believe that the numbers that he's putting up outside of that are really that sustainable, right?
Right.
But I mean, so can you, like, kind of like we were talking about yesterday, like what really in general kind of is the mindset of an organization when they're choosing both position players and pitchers? Because like we kind of talked about, it's a little different for the fall league.
Yeah, that's a really good question, and there's not like a super clear answer.
Yeah,
but
something you said you kind of trying to figure out. Over years, right?
Yeah. Over time, you kind of can get a feel for it. Melendez seemed like a clear option. Number one, because he finished the year in Double-A, which it seems like a lot of guys sent to the fall league. Double-A is sort of like the mean, like that's where I would say most guys probably come from. There are some guys from Triple-A, there are some guys from high A, but Double-A is kind of right in the middle. That's sort of the sweet spot for these guys. So Melendez made a lot of sense from that standpoint. Also, just guys like you just said, guys that you want to challenge, that you just want to see, get a little bit more of a look at them.
Mm-hmm.
A big thing is also if players were injured, if they missed some at bats during the season, then the fall league is a good opportunity to catch up on that. And that's especially true for pitchers. If pitchers miss a few months or whatever, you want to still be logging as many innings as you can. So yeah, those are kind of some of the main things that you look at. On the pitching side, another factor to think of is if a pitcher has already thrown a good number of innings, a lot of times you won't see those guys just because they've already hit their innings limit.
It was one of the guys I was curious about was a guy like Heung-min Lin. And
yeah, right.
Like you said, he probably already pitched as much as the organization wants him to pitch this year.
There's sort of a reasonable limit there. And, every team with every player specific situation kind of knows where that sweet spot is. I think AJ Vukovich is also an interesting selection for the Diamondbacks. He became more interesting as a prospect this year because he played center field a considerable amount. Vukovich has primarily been a third baseman since the D-backs drafted him a few years ago, and it just hasn't really, there's some raw power there, but his approach hasn't generally been great. His walk rates have generally been really low. I think a lot of people have had some doubts about whether the bat would actually play as like an everyday third baseman or an everyday corner outfielder. But in center field, the bar to clear is quite a bit lower, right? If you can play a decent center field, you don't have to have an 850 OPS or whatever to be a valuable player. So Eric Longenhagen from Fangraphs in his midseason prospect report for the D-backs, he was actually pretty impressed with how Vukovich has looked out there in center field. So I think he's kind of the other big, kind of intriguing name here. Blake Walston, a first round pick, is interesting as well. But he's kind of struggled this year in Triple-A in some ways. The ERA is good, but he has basically as many walks as strikeouts, which is never a place you want to be as a pitcher. Yeah. Even if some of the surface numbers look good at the end of the day.
Yeah. Just because I know Cogs had mentioned it. Yeah. The Sod Poodle's currently up 6-3 in the 9th, so they are looking pretty good in the Texas League playoffs.
Yeah.
But as far as the fall league is concerned, games start October 2nd, and they're basically every day except for Sunday. Kind of spread throughout the spring training things here. Although you mentioned the Rafters play like only home games for the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, for the first 2 weeks. It's really weird. The schedule is not like even and balanced at all. It's just the Rafters, which is the team that the Diamondbacks players are playing for. You'll find them at Salt River Fields for every single game in the first couple weeks. And then toward the end of the fall league season, it flips the other way where they're like never at Salt River Fields for a span of 2 weeks or so. So anyone who's been to these facilities knows that Salt River Fields is kind of the gold standard. So if you're able to get to one of those games in those first 2 weeks, I would highly recommend.
Yeah, the fall league is a lot of fun, and especially if you're just like a baseball fan, like getting to see all these different prospects. If you're not fully familiar with the fall league, there's 6 different teams, right? That are each comprised of 5 different MLB teams,
right?
And each team sends a set of their prospects there, and then they play throughout basically the month of October, I guess, right? I love it. I love going. It's like no one goes to the games. They're like $10 to go to. I love them. They're super fun. You guys did a meetup at Fall League All-Star game?
Yeah, it was the home run derby,
home run derby,
actually. Yeah, Davis and De Los Santos was in the home run derby. last year in the fall league, which was fun to watch. I mean, there's also the Fall Stars game, which is basically an all-star game, which is a lot of fun. The championship game, there's usually a good showing for that. MLB Network, broadcasts some of those marquee events. It really is. I mean, last year I wrote that it was like the best kept secret in baseball. And it really shouldn't be a secret because it really is kind of baseball paradise.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're someone who's interested in prospects and interested on, who the stars of tomorrow are going to be in our game, I think if I'm remembering correctly, if you look at the All-Star starting lineup, the starting lineups for the NL and AL All-Stars last year, I think 12 of the 18 had played in the fall league.
I mean, J-Rod was a fall league guy and obviously ended up in Rookie of the Year. So there's hella prospects there.
Yeah.
It is a lot of fun.
But the Diamondbacks might be in the playoffs, Shawn, and if that's the case, then I don't know how much people are going to be watching those fall league games.
That is very true. So yeah, hopefully they take a little bit of a backseat, but we'll see.
Forgive my ignorance, but so the D-backs send how many players?
8, you said it was?
Yeah, the D-backs send 8 players, and each fall league team has 5 major league organizations that send players. So you wind up with like 40 players basically for each team. Which is on the higher end, but a lot of these pitchers like aren't super stretched out, or teams don't want them going like 6 innings or whatever. So it takes a pretty decent sized roster in order to make it work. And that's another factor is, when you're deciding who you're going to send, you have to coordinate with the other teams. Yeah. You can't just send all of the positions that you want to send. You have to, kind of negotiate with other teams on what that's going to look like.
It's
so
chaos.
It is.
I kind of love it.
It is awesome. And also, you get to see sometimes, at least last year you did get to see some of like rule changes, right? Last year they were using the ABS challenge system, which was really cool to see.
I suspect they'll do that again.
Yeah.
I have not confirmed that, but,
sure, but
I would be kind of surprised if they didn't do that again.
I really enjoy the challenge system.
Yeah. If you haven't seen the challenge system and they do it, we'll try to figure out if they do. It's honestly worth going just to see what the challenge system
looks like. If you ever
like.
watch tennis where like there's a challenge and then they all go up to the video screen, there's like an animation of the ball going. It's basically just like that, where they'll show they'll show where the pitch went and they'll change the call based on what happened.
Yeah, and it's cool because it's all contingent on either it's either the pitcher and catcher who can challenge or the batter.
Which,
so it all happens on the field. There's no like video. There's no video review component. It's kind of a challenge thing. Like you're a hitter and you're being like, hey, I think I know the strike zone better than the umpire does right now. And it's fun. I mean, dugouts get into it, and the crowd, the crowd. There's not usually much of a crowd at fall league games, which is arguably one of its better characteristics.
Yeah, I love that
for people who just love like a chill environment where you can really go in and sit wherever. It's really incredible experience. And when the time comes, I'm sure we're going to be talking fall league on here a whole lot. But just know going in, you should absolutely plan on going to some games if you can.
You should. You absolutely should. You should also make sure you plan ahead. Make sure you got your snacks, whether that's, peanuts, some seeds, whatever. If you're going to do it, you know where to go. It's America's one-stop shop for beverages, for gas, for snacks. It's Circle K. America's thirst shop. They're amazing. And now is the best time. If you haven't been on the Circle K wave yet, it is the time, because they just launched their free membership program, the Inner Circle. When you join, you get 25 cents off per gallon in your first 5 fill-ups. And I say it every time, gas is expensive as hell right now. So now is the time to sign up. I need to be saving money on gas, and Circle K has my back. You also get a 6th free on a selection of different Circle K products, like their pizza, their coffee, their fountain drinks. And we love Polar Pops out here. They stay cold, they're longer. They have a very special kind of ice, and I love a good ice. I'm an ice eater. It is, judge me if you want, but I love it. So join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. And one of the many things I love about Circle K is their beer selection. And by beer selection, I mean their 4 Peak selection, because that's the only beer I drink, if we're being honest. Because they're the best beer you can get in Arizona, the best beer you can get anywhere you can get it, because it's the best beer in the world as far as I'm concerned. They got a great selection. Kilt Lifter is a perfect kind of football beer, or they have, D-backs. They got the Rattle on Red Ale. If you're at D-backs games, you can head up to the Four Peaks draft room up in right field. They have a full selection of Four Peaks beer. I love a good golden lager. Damon and I were talking about it not too long ago. The perfect baseball beer.
Perfect.
It's the perfect color.
Can't beat it.
And clarity and taste. It's a perfect baseball beer. And it's football season, which means it's fall, and fall means pumpkin, and pumpkin means pumpkin porter, and pumpkin porter means pumpkin porter cheesecake. And pumpkin porter beer and pumpkin porter cheesecake from our friends at Four Peaks go crazy. So make sure you check them out. You can visit fourpeaks.com/locator to find all of your favorite brewery tours and events. Stein Holding, Oktoberfest, and Haunted Brewery tours are right around the corner. Check out at Four Peaks Brew or at Four Peaks Pub to keep up with the latest at Arizona's hometown brewery. You must be 21 or older to drink Four Peaks. Please drink responsibly. Anything else before we get out of here?
I was just looking at schedules for the D-backs and Yankees, just kind of thinking ahead on this rain situation. So the Yankees have Monday off, and the D-backs have next Thursday off. Those are the only days off on the calendar that these two teams have. So, there isn't a situation where, you postpone tomorrow and then you're like, all right, we'll just make it up on Monday or something like that.
Sunday doubleheader.
Yeah, you're going to have to, I guess you have.
Or you play at the end of the year.
Yeah, you have October 2nd.
Because I feel like that's happened before.
I
feel like I've seen that happen before. I can't remember the situation, but I feel like I've seen before where a game got rained out and there was just no opportunity for them to play it until the end of the year, which is obviously a far from ideal situation.
That would be far from ideal because it would, Zach Gallen his pitching schedule is part of this, and the last game of the season is going to be super important, most likely for the Diamondbacks, or at least there is a world in which the last game of the season very much matters, and it would really change the outlook of the year if you finish in Houston and then you still have to travel to New York.
Oh my God. And if the New York Yankees end our fucking season,
that would be a tough moment for you.
Oh my God. It would be more than a tough moment for me, Jesse. It would be the worst moment of my life.
I suspect that if we have trouble tomorrow, you're going to see a doubleheader on Sunday because I just don't think they're going to want to mess with this. Although I also have to say that even Sunday doesn't necessarily look great.
They can, right?
Yeah, if they can. So, hope New York weather cooperates. I'm guessing, Shawn, in your experience, New York weather tends not to cooperate.
Not at all. At least they're not on the lake. But yeah, no, the weather's going to do what it wants to do up there.
We'll see.
So we will see. Make sure you keep it locked into PHNX_D-backs on Twitter, because we'll definitely let y'all know if the game gets moved or something like that, for sure. But that's all we got for today. So we thank you for joining us. Like I said at the beginning of the show, make sure you leave a like. I know Gabby begs people for likes. Make sure you leave us a like. We very much appreciate it. As Derek says, it's our attaboys.
Can I just say real quick? I guarantee Jesse will tweet about a weather update in minutes. I'm going to put that on Jesse.
I guarantee it too.
I guarantee it within 2 or 3 minutes of it being announced. Yeah. Jesse will have a tweet about it. Turn notifications on. Follow Jesse.
So
follow
make sure you follow at Jesse_Freeman on Twitter. You can follow.
It's at Jesse
and Freeman. I'm an underscore. Follow me at Shawn_DePaz.
Not everyone does it like you, Shawn.
I know.
Gosh.
But Totri does. There's a lot of underscores around here. Make sure you follow Jesse. The much more important follow, Jesse and Freeman.
I guarantee it.
Guarantee it. He will be there no matter what.
They could. When they did that in San Diego, they announced it well in advance that they were going to cancel a game and then play a doubleheader. So we could find out tonight. We could find out early tomorrow if they were doing that. They're not necessarily going to try to play the game and then decide.
Yeah.
They might just try to get out in front of it depending on what the weather reports look like.
Yeah. So again, make sure you follow Jesse and Freeman on Twitter. Turn on those notifications so you don't miss his tweets. Follow me on Twitter at Shawn_DePaz. You can follow Maniac Behind the Mac on Twitter at Damon Dog, right? There's no underscore there, with a W, and we are Damon's Dogs. Roof, 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 roof. I'm not used to barking alone. It doesn't hit the same.
I just can't do it at this point.
No, I understand.
I'm too far gone.
No, I appreciate a little bit that Jesse doesn't get
I'm the Damon Dog that hasn't figured out how to bark yet.
Yeah, he's still searching for his bark. Maybe by next season.
I stay up at night thinking about how Jesse doesn't bark when Derek and Shawn do.
Damon's been losing sleep for weeks, for months.
One of these times, Damon, I'm just gonna do it out of nowhere, and it's just gonna rock your world. It's gonna just blow your mind.
He's gonna start barking. But of course, follow us on the show on Twitter at PHNX D-backs. But as Derek says, all roads lead to PHNX Sports at PHNX _sports on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Again, you're on our YouTube, so make sure you follow us, subscribe, give us a like, thumbs up, all those good things. We'll be back Monday for Mailbag Monday.
Yep.
Obviously, but follow us along on Twitter, like I've been saying, for everything that's going on this weekend, whether that's game tomorrow Sunday or doubleheader Sunday, who knows? We'll see. But in the words, did you write this or did Derek write this?
I didn't write
okay,
that.
so I'm not saying it. I want you to know that Derek put in our rundown. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it is more fun when Derek is here. You know what? I had a lot of fun tonight. So remember, kids, baseball's fun, but it's a lot more fun when Derek's not here.